If the clerk could take the roll, please.
Commissioner Look.
Here.
Commissioner Brassad.
Here.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Here.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Okay, the first item is tax claims and abatements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item is review of checks issued from Finance and Central Services and from Human Services. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Look, second by Commissioner West. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Then we have approval of minutes from the October 29th County Board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Look. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. We have two items under Chair's remarks today. As you know, homelessness continues to be a significant problem in Minnesota and in Anoka County itself. There's no formula for who could become homeless. It can be caused by something as simple as losing a job or something more complex as mental illness or chemical dependency. In January 2015, a point-in-time survey was done to determine how many people are homeless, how many are children, and where they are. Keep in mind, January of this year had below average cold with many overnight temperatures in the first half of the month well below zero. There were 794 people who were homeless in Anoka County, including those living with friends and family. 337 were minor children, mostly in families. 314 were adults over the age of 25. Anoka County's been very involved and very committed to the effort in ending homelessness. Anoka County efforts have included direct services such as housing and rent assistance, coordination of efforts like Heading Home Anoka, and through the support of our many wonderful community housing partners throughout Anoka County. To assist with identifying those in need of housing and connecting them to resources, Anoka County became one of the first counties in the entire state to set up the coordinated entry process, which I think that we have been very, very pleased with and appreciate the providers who have really embraced change, because change can be very difficult. Through the coordinated entry process, 103 households have found housing, which is significant. 26% were matched through existing programs where services are also provided. So coming up in January, again this year, January this next year, 2016, the annual point-in-time count will be taking place again. And in Minnesota, I know January is a challenging time to do that count, but the federal government sets that date for all of us. But it's really an opportunity to get involved and to assist with ending homelessness. So I'd like to ask Jerry Peterson, Director of Community Mental Health and Social Services, to tell us a little bit more.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Jerry Peterson, Director of Community Social Services and Behavioral Health. We're here to present a very brief PowerPoint that highlights the issue of homelessness, our local efforts, and work with, as been mentioned, many of our amazing community partners. Our department works with many complex social needs. There is none more basic than individuals' need for shelter. I'm always, as a psychology major, I'm always reminded of that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and folks can remember that pyramid at the bottom and those basic needs. It is why we're engaged so actively in the effort to end homelessness. And although it may seem like a big goal, it is where we must start. Now, I have the privilege of introducing one of our staff who has been very integral in these efforts. Michelle Reed. Oh, there you are. Thank She's our housing program coordinator, and has her passion and efforts have assisted greatly in our department being successful in addressing this goal. And she's going to walk through these slides, and I'm going to be the clicker, so anything that doesn't happen right, you can blame me there. And recognizing not only some of our internal efforts, but also the efforts of, like I said, our community partners. Michelle?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you the local efforts surrounding a very important issue. As you know, November is Homeless Awareness Month. I'd like to start by thanking our Heading Home Anoka providers, many of whom are in the audience this morning. We've had a marked increase in participation over the last couple of years. Anoka County Human Services Departments, nonprofits, shelters, food shelves, libraries, and schools all continue to take an active role in ending homelessness. The next two slides here reflect what homelessness looks like across the region. Now, as you know, Anoka County is part of the suburban metro area continuum of care, along with the counties of Washington, Scott, Carver, and Dakota. Collectively, we conduct the annual point-in-time count that's done in January, and then we report those results to Housing and Urban Development, or to HUD. HUD defines homelessness as those people who don't have a fixed, regular, or adequate nighttime residence, those that are in shelter or in a place not meant for human habitation. The regional results from the point-in-time count done in January indicated 503 individuals were homeless. 303, or 60%, were children under the age of 18. Most were with their families. HUD asks regions to further gather information on special populations, as you see listed here. 144, or 28%, were chronically homeless individuals. HUD defines chronic homelessness as 4 episodes of homelessness in 3 years, or continuously homeless for 1 year and having a disability. The 0% that you see listed here for veterans accounts for the 1 veteran who was reported homeless within our region in January of 2015. For Anoka County specifically, it's important to note that HUD doesn't consider people who are doubled up or living with friends or family members as being homeless, but the state of Minnesota does. So when we filter out the data on a regional level and we add in Anoka County's folks that are doubled up, Madam Chair, you do mention that there were 794 people, including those that were doubled up in Anoka County in January. And also, as you mentioned, a majority were minor children in families. Now, you may see a select few homeless people. However, in the suburbs, a vast majority you won't see. Most are living with other family members. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Anoka County, as you said, was one of the first counties in the metro area to implement a homeless response system with all 3 populations of singles, families, and youth. Coordinated Entry, as it's called, is a national initiative driven by Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. Its approach is to access housing resources for persons who are homeless or at risk of being homeless. And it's a coordinated referral process for clients to receive prevention resources, housing, and/or related services. The goals of Coordinated Entry are really to create a client-centered system, to reduce the length of time that a family spends homeless, to provide connection to then transition from homelessness to stable housing, to provide transparency throughout the system, and finally, the ability to easily identify gaps in resources. Now, through the Coordinated Entry process, Anoka's identified system gaps include housing education and training, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, as well as homeless outreach. We have a healthy list of accomplishments, as you can see. And over the last year, the most impactful accomplishment was the return of our Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program funds. I'd like to take just a moment and thank the providers that are here today for their dedication and their commitment to the Anoka County residents. They have played an integral part in securing the funds for those experiencing or on the verge of homelessness. Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you again for your time and your attention on this and the opportunity to share very vital, important housing information and homeless issues. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anyone have any questions or comments at all? Okay. Thank you very much, Michelle and Jerry. And I know maybe this is a little different than what we normally do, but because we have such a great network of community providers who have taken the time to show up here today, certainly want to see if we could just kind of go around the room and let everyone know who everyone is and
Absolutely.
acknowledge them.
Absolutely. Well, first I'd like to start with our FHPAP Chair, Amy Baker with Second Harvest. Please stand. And the subgrantees with the YMCA, RISE, Stepping Stone, Alexandra House, and Salvation Army.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. We've got Matt Lewis, who is the chair of our coordinated entry system from South Metro Human Services. And the points of access that we have and our partners that have really played full out. Hope Inman with Salvation Army as one of the staff members that's there. Kevin Martineau with Stepping Stone, the executive director, and Stacy Sweeney again with the YMCA. We have our family shelter, Sue Peterson with Family Promise is here today, and as well as Stepping Stone Emergency Housing with Kevin. And then within our own, and Liz Kramer is here as well with People Inc. She's our group residential housing provider, has gotten that up and going as well. So thank you for that. And then finally, we have Anoka County staff as well with Joan Farrell from Economic Assistance, as well as Jeremiah Wood, sorry, forget, I just know you as Jeremiah, with Adult Mental Health standing in as well for Lyle Peterson, who's been an integral part in the process.
Okay. And I think we also have Pam Wolf as well. And do you want to mention
welcome.
your organization?
Pam Wolf Slavic with Life Prep Academy. We're a school that we target homeless and high-risk teens as well as provide housing for them in addition to the education.
Oh, great. I didn't know she was coming. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you. And then I also see Catherine Wegner in the back from not only the Minnesota Coalition for Homeless, but also a board member for Hope for Youth.
Fantastic.
So,
Well, it is really an important initiative for our community, and just appreciate the commitment of each and every one of you. If I look back a number of years ago, I don't think that people even recognized that homelessness existed within Anoka County because they didn't see it in the same way that they maybe saw it in the more urban areas. And so appreciate all of the efforts that have gone into providing education to the community, because I think that the community has really responded in so many different ways. There's been so many wonderful organizations who have really been born out of the process, but then also really grown in the services that they're providing within the community. So again, just really appreciate the community effort and really the passion that goes behind it, because you really need to have a passion for making a difference in the community, and I know that each and every one of you do. So thank you for your great work. And with that, I would ask that commissioners join me in supporting Resolution 2015-139, proclaiming November as Homelessness Awareness Month in Anoka County. And I'll offer that resolution. Further discussion? Yes, Commissioner Gamache.
Came up with a question. I was wondering if Michelle could.
Great.
Not knowing much about the coordinated entry program, I'm just curious as to what year did we start the program here in Anoka County?
October 1st, 2014.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Cordia.
I'm chairman of the Human Services Board and around here for a long time, but a lot has happened over the last number of years, and it's because of all of your efforts. I really appreciate that. I find you to be a remarkable cast of characters dealing with the homeless, and you're doing a fine job. I see the perspective of that in that committee, and thank you for your work. Thank you.
Commissioner Look.
Madam Chair, as long as we're on questions here. First of all, let me say that was impressive, the recollection of all the names. I think in a heap of trouble if that was my responsibility. But I find this to be a very important work that you folks all do, and I'm impressed with your heart to do this work. The question I have is, what, in terms of homelessness, are we finding with some of the people that are homeless? Is it a psychological issue? Is it an economic issue? Is it rebelling against rules? What are some of the primary reasons why we see homelessness in Anoka County? And perhaps it's not easy to boil it down to something like that, but that's kind of an area of interest for me.
Sure, Madam Chair, Commissioner Look. We did a needs assessment over a year ago, and the very top things that we did see were non-livable wages, transportation, mental health, substance abuse. Those are the primary pieces that go into that. And something as simple as an excessive medical bill or a car repair could certainly put a family at risk of being homeless.
Okay, interesting, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Look, I know that in talking to various providers that provide housing for homeless youth or services for homeless youth, one of the biggest challenges I think that the youth are facing isn't necessarily that they're rebelling against the rules at home, but it's a matter of the home environment is just so bad that many times they feel that it's better to live, even if it means living on the street, than to live at home, which is really a very sad, sad situation. Commissioner.
This question has been bothering me, not just today, but in a previous presentation. We talked about spending millions of dollars rehabbing some buildings out at the Rum River complex for veterans housing, homeless housing specifically. And it's a major topic in the state right now is homeless veterans.
Yep.
And yet our tally from January of 15 says there's one. It would seem pretty easy to accomplish housing for one. I'm wondering if that number was an anomaly or if this great rise of anxiety over veterans' homeless housing is really unfounded.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Schulte, one of the things, as you said, our goal for the state of Minnesota is to end veteran homelessness by the end of 2015. Now, we know that people are still going to become homeless, right? And the intention is that we establish what we would call a functional zero, so that if a veteran becomes homeless or is on the verge of it, we could prevent it, or we could certainly have it be brief, rare, and non-recurring. And while that was within just our region, there's a lot of people that might not have been seen or counted in January. And I know as far as it goes for Anoka County, there's 2 veterans right now that are on our coordinated entry list, but then also in partnership with our county veteran services officers downstairs, they can run parallel tracks to be able to get those services quickly. And we've got the resources. So we're gonna expedite that, but that isn't to say that we're gonna end it fully, but at least get to a baseline.
Very good, thank you. And Madam Chair, I might just add it, from my perspective, as I looked at that pie chart, the unwilling to answer category kind of fit my mindset of what a veteran might be. A little too much pride to admit I'm homeless, or to at least tell you I'm homeless. I'll figure this out on my own. So that kind of maybe played into it from my perspective a little bit there as well.
And I think it's always important to remember this is a snapshot in time.
Yes.
It's one night in the middle of January where it's generally very cold and the numbers may be greater on another day when the weather isn't quite what it is on those particular days and months. So, right. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you to all the providers for being here today and for everything that you do. We appreciate it. Okay, we will move on to Management Committee report. Commissioner,
Didn't think we voted on that.
oh, I'm sorry, I guess we didn't. All right, ended up in discussion about the resolution, we didn't vote on it, so, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. We caught up in great discussion, so thank you for that. And now we will move on to Management Committee report. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I think we have one more item under.
Yeah, we're doing the
Oh.
species.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I'm just off my game today. All right. Our second item is an update on the Anoka County Aquatic Invasive Species Program. This is item number 2 on the Parks Committee report, but considering this is the first year of the program, we moved it under Chair's remarks because it really is important for us to hear more about the details about the efforts to protect our waterways from invasive species such as zebra mussels and milfoil. So Jeff Perry is here to give us an update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Jeff Perry. I'm the Park Planning and Resources Manager for Anoka County. And thank you for the opportunity to provide a brief overview in the presentation here this morning regarding what we did in 2015 as far as the invasive species program and what the plans are for 2016. To start with, the overall objective of Anoka County's Aquatic Invasive Species Program is working with other local governing bodies in cooperation with local residents and stakeholders to prevent and slow the spread of aquatic invasive species across the Anoka County waterways, using a comprehensive approach of education, early detection, monitoring, and prevention. The AID program, the legislature enacted it in 2014, that provides all counties in the state of Minnesota with an annual appropriation for AIS prevention. The appropriation amount is based on how many watercraft accesses are in each county and then how many parking spaces in each of those accesses in every county. So what that equates to for Anoka County is $57,000 was allocated in 2014, which essentially was a half year. It was 6 months since it became effective July 1 of 14. This year, $127,000 was appropriated, and looking ahead to 2016, it's $135,000. The difference between this year and next year, we identified a couple other boat launches in the county that the DNR did not have record of, so we brought that to their attention, and we were able to secure some more dollars for Anoka County. In terms of this year's program, we conducted multiple education and outreach events, which were very successful, working with local cities and community events across the county. We implemented a number of watercraft inspections across the county at public boat launches and a couple other private boat launch facilities that we were aware of. We worked with local lake associations in AIS education and prevention, which was very effective. And then we coordinated with local law enforcement, including the county sheriffs, as well as local police departments in getting those folks trained for the enforcement piece of the program. In terms of the public outreach, our AIS coordinator, you can see in the photo to the right, attended several community events working with 10 cities across the county and touching over 8,000 people, both youth and adults, relative to educating them about aquatic invasive species and the importance of prevention as part of that program. In terms of watercraft inspections, the county hired 10 watercraft inspectors, and we divided the county up into 5 different regions. There were 23 watercraft accesses that were monitored. There were over 4,000 total inspection hours and over 7,000 total inspections. As a result of those inspections, drain plug violations and plant violations were the 2 big identifiers that were noticed in the field, where people were bringing their watercraft into these county launches and other launches across the county. And their drain plugs were still in their boats, which is against the law. They're supposed to be, the drain plugs are supposed to be open. And/or there were vegetation, aquatic vegetation attached to the trailer and/or the watercraft. So there was a fairly high number of violations here, and those violations kind of escalated in May and June, and after some of those same boats kept coming back to the launches, we started seeing fewer and fewer violations as the season went on. In terms of working with local lake associations, we worked directly with Coon Lake, Crooked Lake, Ham, Lake George, Linwood, Martin, Peltier, and Centerville. Those are the primary lake associations that are organized. But we also worked with some of the non-organized smaller lake associations as well to get the word of prevention and education out in the community. In addition to lake associations, we also visited local businesses, bait shops, sporting good outlets, et cetera, provided them with literature and information on aquatic invasive species. In terms of training, 2 Anoka County deputies were trained by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources to ensure that they were clear on how to effectively enforce the AIS laws. We're currently working on getting more local law enforcement officers trained, especially with the local cities. The county also entered into a delegation agreement with the Minnesota DNR that essentially allows Anoka County to hire the boat launch inspectors to get them in the field to be able to effectively inspect the boats. And through that training, the county boat inspectors actually do have the right to deter someone from launching a boat if they had, for example, Eurasian water milfoil on their trailer or on their watercraft. And all of the watercraft inspectors were formally trained and certified as level 1 inspectors. In terms of the overall program assessment, since this was the first year of the program, we felt that the public outreach events were highly effective. The cities were very cooperative and willing to have us participate in their community level events. Watercraft inspections, again, there were 23 accesses that were monitored via inspections, and over 4,300 hours were invested in inspecting watercraft across the county. Some of the challenges for the program this year was coordinating training with the DNR. Most of our inspectors are college students that come from across the state of Minnesota, so getting them back after they were done with their spring semester and getting them trained was a challenge. So we've come up with some strategies to coordinate that training to get them in the field a little earlier in 2016. And also law enforcement training to enforce the AIS laws was kind of a gap in the number of offerings that were provided by the DNR for the local law enforcement officials. So we're working on that component as well, and we're optimistic that we'll be able to get more licensed peace officers effectively trained. Looking ahead to 2016, the primary categories we're looking at is education, prevention, monitoring and early detection, formulating a rapid response plan in the event that we identify a new infestation, so we have an action plan in place. Stakeholder input and program overview is an important component. We held a broad stakeholder meeting in October with various stakeholders from across the county to review the program, what's working well, where the gaps are, so we can strengthen the program. So overall, it's a work in progress. We're learning as we go on where the gaps are, and we're filling those gaps as we proceed. And in the education component too, we're reaching out to local elementary schools through Climb Theater, which is it's an organization that provides education and training and makes it in a very interactive, fun format for K through 6 education. And so we'll be investing some additional resources in hiring Climb Theater to hit local elementary schools across the county. And in conclusion, think locally and act locally. The benefits of keeping Anoka County's waterways, rivers, streams, and lakes clean and safe for the public It helps maintain property values, certainly contributes towards increasing tourism, improving hunting and fishing opportunities, and enhancing water-based recreation and associated park use. So preventing and limiting the spread now is critical because the stakes are high here in Anoka County, since we have 2 major rivers, a number of tributary streams, and some beautiful lakes that need to be cared for and managed. With that said, the resolution of support is before you this morning that would support moving forward in 2016 for an effective AIS program here in Anoka County. I'd be happy to take any questions, Madam Chair.
Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Cordia?
Madam Chair, this board can certainly thank and commend Mr. Perry for what he's done here. He took some new money on an important issue. He worked with 23 locations and multiple cities and lakes associations and public input and working with staffing, and it was a complicated role that he played. He did a really fine job in my estimation. We're kind of duplicating this coming year what we've done the past year, but he put it all together, and it wouldn't have gotten done were it not for his work, efforts, and talent. So I thank you for what you've done here. I think it's working well for us. The Parks Department's seen this discussion before, and look forward to another year. The money is good to put into an opportunity like this. We all have lakes in our own communities that we want to protect, and Jeff is our first line of defense.
Commissioner West?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A clarification, what, is it illegal to have the plug in your boat when you arrive there?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner West, it is. As soon as you exit a water body, you're supposed to remove your drain plug, and that drain plug is to remain in the removed position until you're prepared to launch for your next access.
So that's why I'm hearing about a lot of people going in the water and forgetting to put it back on.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Madam Chair, and another question is, do violators get a citation, or is it just education so far?
Madam Chair, Commissioner West, we've primarily been taking the approach of education at this point. There were a couple of citations that were issued through the County Sheriff's Office this year. However, the majority of the violations, they're treated as an education and prevention manner. So we've taken a very friendly approach to distributing information, literature, explaining what the laws are, and we find that that's been effective, and all folks have been very, very much cooperative and compliant.
Well, I sure hope that they share the knowledge they get, because I had a cabin on a lake that was invaded with milfoil, and it almost renders the lake unusable for recreation anyway. So, thanks for what you do.
Commissioner Look?
Madam Chair, thank you. I want to take this opportunity to thank Jeff as well for the hard work on this. Those of us, as Commissioner West had indicated, that have seen milfoil and tried to boat through milfoil and tried to fish in milfoil, it's just it's somewhat aggravating. And so all the steps taken to try and reduce it, eliminate it, I think are very important. Anoka County has highest per capita hunting and fishing licenses of the state of Minnesota. So this is hunting and fishing country, if you will, and it's very important for our residents. I do want to give a shout out to the Lake George Improvement District as well. We have quite a few visitors coming to the Lake George Park there. A lot of boats coming in. I think that was one of the check sites you had indicated. And some of the residents around there have taken it upon themselves to tax themselves to remove the milfoil, some of which probably comes in from the visitors. And so it's local area residents on Lake Shore have identified the need to do that. Excuse me. And more work needs to be done. As you're putting your boat on the trailer, as you're strapping it down, as you're putting a cover on it or securing it, I mean, you're right there by that drain plug. It's really careless to not pull it out and to not drain water that might have come in your boat, during that time frame. I'm not sure why you'd want to transport that. But at any rate, it's something that I think we continue to, thank you for your work, and continue to work on. And I think maybe it's the newer boaters that are out there that aren't familiar with everything that they need to do, but nevertheless, I think it's important that we continue this work and try and help out where we can.
Other comments? Yes, Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to also thank Jeff for the work he's done, and I think it's important to realize how much we've used this program to invest in the education and the training and letting, educating people as to what they need to do, because there are lake associations out there that are working hard to fix lakes that already are having some issues, and they've come to different government bodies, including cities, to ask for money to help. And part of this program, really, the way this program was set up was to educate so that we don't run into problems and so that everybody can participate and try to fix the issues and not spread it to other lakes. But as we had discussed at our last meeting, our Parks Committee meeting, was that some of the money from other counties is being spent to do treatment of the lakes. In my mind, this money is important to be used for education. And then the DNR ought to start dealing with the issues of treating the lakes in certain areas. And that's where that money should come from. That's a statewide issue. But having this program set up, and unfortunately there's a county close to us, borders us, that uses most of their money, as I understand, for treatment and not as much for education. And I know some of those people actually take their boats from their county over to our county. And hopefully we'll be able to educate them that way, but they should be getting that education, at home. So I would like to see us maybe discuss with our legislative group how we can maybe support at the legislature that let's focus this program where it needs to be on education. That money could go into that area where it's educating people not to do this, and then have the DNR spend their money on doing the actual treatment so that they're not coming to, lake associations aren't coming to us or coming to other local governments to try to get some of this money, thinking that, well, we should spend it on cleaning things up, when really the need, I think, is to educate, at least for the limited amount of money that we have with this program.
Commissioner Schulte.
Madam Chair, I'd like to offer the resolution.
Okay, resolution has been offered by Commissioner Schulte. Further discussion? Jeff, didn't you do a video as well?
Madam Chair, yes, we did. We worked with public information, and yeah, I apologize. I should have given you a clip of that, but it was a very colorful, educational type video that I think had several hits when it was posted.
So again, just a great way to continue to get the education out there. So, all right, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to committee reports. Commissioner West, Management Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have one action item. It's a replacement restructure in Human Services and Social Services. It is going from a .5 FTE social worker adult mental health grade 12 combined with a .5 FTE grants and contracts coordinator planning and contracting unit grade 13. It will be restructured to a 1 FTE grants and contracts coordinator grade 13. And the reason for this is that the grants and contracts coordinator position is responsible for the development and management of department housing related service and programs. And that includes the administration of group residential housing. This increased demand for housing services and the state's redesign of group residential housing has greatly increased the staff time needed. So that's the reason for the restructure.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Is there a second? Been moved by Commissioner Kordiak, second by Commissioner Brastad. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Motion carries.
And Madam Chair, the rest is informational, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Now we move on to Transportation Committee report. Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 5 action items for you in the Highway Division. First, the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing conveyance of property for parcel number 1 in the construction of a roundabout at the intersection of Broadway Avenue and Kettle River Boulevard in the city of Columbus.
And I will offer the resolution. Is there further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner.
Just for anybody's edification that's concerned about this, this is clearing up of some property lines In some previous action taken when we widened a specific road, the surveyor drew the line in the wrong place per se. This is rectifying that and correcting it for the records.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
The committee recommends approval of a resolution requesting a speed zone study on Verdon Street Northwest from 161st Avenue to 181st Avenue as requested by the city of Andover.
Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner Brasted. Further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Schulte.
We did discuss at committee how these things are paid for, and in reading a recent note, I believe that we determined that it's paid for actually by the state, other than our staff time putting together the request, which is very minimal. And I don't believe the city pays for anything. I think we do pay for signs. If the speed zone is changed, the county would pay for new signage.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the transfer of excess highway right-of-way to the city of Ham Lake per the joint powers agreement for project CP 14-10-17.
Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner Brasted. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Fourth, the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing acquisition of right-of-way for a signal construction project with turn lanes located at the intersection of Viking Boulevard and Lake George Boulevard in the city of Oak Grove.
Is there an offer of the resolution?
Offer it.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner Look. Further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Look.
Just want to comment on this project. We've heard from many residents out in Oak Grove during the busy times in the morning and the evening, the amount of backups at this intersection and the inability to get out of it without taking risks. And some of the residents that are there witnessing accidents that occur. And this is, I think, with all the work that we've done on 22 to White Top Ed, this is one of the final projects, pieces of the puzzle, if you will. And with the turn lanes that we're putting in and the work that's being done, I really want to commend our staff. This is a long time needed project, and it's going to really serve people not only in Oak Grove, but people that are heading north on County Road 9, and certainly improve safety. And I think that's somewhat paramount in the job that we do here at the county.
Thank you, Commissioner Look. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Silveraja?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brasted? Aye. Commissioner Kordiak?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item.
And our last action item, the committee recommends approval to enter into an agreement with Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway Company for grade crossing construction and maintenance associated with the reconstruction of Bunker Lake Boulevard from Crane Street to Jefferson Street, and authorizing the chair of the county board and county administrator to execute that agreement, subject to review by the county attorney as to form and legality.
Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Schulte.
I will just make everybody aware, this is for a grade crossing construction, not a grade separation. Oftentimes, it's confusing when you read through these, when Burlington Northern's involved, and it's just that one word, grade separation or grade crossing. This is a crossing at grade. Hopefully to be a separated grade some date in the future.
Okay. Commissioner Look.
Madam Chair, I don't know that I recall from the committee discussions. Was Andover going to apply for whistle-free on this at some point?
Doug.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioner Look, County Board members. My name is Doug Fisher. I'm the County Engineer and Transportation Division Manager. Right now, it already is a whistle-free zone right now because we will have the four-section gates, median. It will qualify. Again, it will be up to the city to reapply after the road is upgraded to the four-lane roadway. But I don't anticipate that there'll be any problem with the reissuance of whistle-free crossing here.
Thank you very much. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad? Aye. Commissioner Kordiak?
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja?
Aye. Motion carries.
And Madam Chair, the rest of my report is informational, and it concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Parks and Community Services Committee report, Commissioner Kordiak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We now have two items to address today, action items for us. One of them is a long-time discussion that we've had. This is the Bunker Chain of Lakes Master Trailway System. That's a trailway system that runs from the eastern side of the county toward Bunker. It's a combination of routes that follow varying alignments. We worked with a variety of city jurisdictions along the way. We've got resolutions of support for them as we worked with them. This trail, of course, isn't getting built today. It'll be built over years in time as roadway and configurations move around and change. But it does set up the general framework for where the trailway system would one day go. This is a plan that's forwarded to the Metropolitan Council, a Parks entity for their support. And this is our proposal to them that we're prepared to submit. I'll offer it.
The resolution has been offered by Commissioner Kordiak. Further discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Schulte.
we had a lengthy discussion as to the name of this trailway and its appropriateness. The only question I do have is I've seen a number of documents where there's a hyphen between the word bunker and chain of lakes. And I actually prefer that because right now it looks like there's a chain of lakes at Bunker as you read that. The documents I saw were master plans and other things that had the hyphen. I'm wondering if we don't want to keep that hyphen in there to really hammer home the part that these are two different
Right,
parks and we're connecting them to the trailway. I don't know if we need to do that at this juncture or if that's semantics that can happen later. I don't know. But if it needs to be, I would enjoy the board's support in having that in there because I think it does make a difference.
Madam Chair, I'd be happy to support that, and this is the time to do that because this is a resolution that would move forward to the regional park system. And I don't think it mattered to the Parks Department whether or not that item is hyphenated or not.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Commissioner Kordiak, yeah, that we can make that change administratively before
Yeah.
it's submitted.
Yeah, if that's okay with all of you, that's okay with me, and that's fine.
I think that makes sense.
Very good, thank you. We'll assume that it's done,
Okay,
and the resolution's before us.
Commissioner?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a long trail that is going in, but most of it, I think most of it has already been built. So it's not like we're drawing a whole trail across the county that needs to be constructed. But so I want to thank, like the area in Blaine where they did the trail through a development. As that development was being done, now we can connect from two different areas. So cities and developers that have already done some of this trail have been very helpful. So it's kind of a neat way to just attach here and there smaller lengths of trail and actually get it done. There is going to be some costs as we have to look at a bridge crossing 35W and perhaps either expanding the bridge that's there or if that becomes part of our transportation plan or putting a new bridge across that would be just for the trail. But in the most part, a lot of this trail has already been built, which is a good thing, and now we're just kind of connecting it all up. So it's a good plan, and I'm hoping that we'll see something from the Met Council in the future.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 3 is regarding an annual grant request that we make to the State of Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. They've long offered financial supports to assist us in the grooming and preparation of our county ski trails to our various parks. And we'd like to make that application once again, and I would move that action item.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad? Aye. Commissioner Kordiak?
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The remaining items are for information purposes. We've talked about them along the way before. Nothing too new and striking. That would conclude my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I don't believe there's anything else to come before the board, so thank you very much for your time, and meeting is adjourned.
I don't